Hello, everyone. Well, it is back to school time for many children in our area, and I have to ask, do you use school records in your genealogy research? If not, you definitely want to listen to today's video as we talk about what types of information that you can find in the school records for your genealogy research. Hi, I'm Lisa Lisson with Are You My Cousin? And I work hard to take the overwhelm out of genealogy research and help you start finding your ancestors. Now, before we get into talking about school records, feel free to hit that little subscribe button down at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. That way you will be notified when new videos are posted here to the Are You My Cousin YouTube channel. Okay, guys, let's start talking about school records. Now, school records can provide a wealth of information for you, the genealogy researcher. But just to be clear, I'm not talking about individual student school record or the individual student's file. I'm talking about the types of records that were involved in the running of a school, reporting, reports on attendance and money and school board meetings, that type of thing. Those are the types of records we're talking about here. So just to be clear with that. Okay, let's talk about the different types of records that you can use for your genealogy research. Well, the first thing that you can use and that I find very helpful are school census records, or sometimes called school registers. And this is simply kind of self-explanatory as the title says. It is a listing of the children in a particular school. It is oftentimes it'll tell you when they attended. It'll be a nice little list of each child and when they attended, when they were absent. The information on these registers can vary quite a bit based on time and based on location. I have found where sometimes these census records will list a child's name and the parent or guardian's name. Big information there, guys, especially for the little girls, the girls who are attending school. Again, you'll find your female ancestors listed there, and you can find their parents sometimes listed as well. You can determine and get clues to sibling groups, to the families that are in the area as well, your ancestors' community. So that school census record is an important piece of information for you to seek out. And here's our tip, guys. With the absence of the 1890 U.S. federal census for us to use to track our ancestors, if you find an 1890 school census record or register for the county or area where your ancestor lived, that can serve as a partial substitute for the 1890 census. It's not going to list everybody who was in the area, but if it lists the children, then you can start to kind of fill that tree in to find the parents for that. If you are lucky and that particular census or register lists the children as well as the guardian's name or parent's name, then you have a partial list and you know who was living in the area in 1890. So seek that out as a possible partial substitute for that 1890 census record. Yearbooks are another type of school record. Now, I know they're not a formal record, but so many schools have those yearbooks. And what I can tell you is that more and more are being digitized and put online for you to look at. So obviously you can find photographs of your ancestors, hopefully, in those records. They can tell you, some will go into more detail about students, some a little less detail, not a problem. But when you're looking at that school records and you find your ancestors, oftentimes you'll find their siblings or collateral ancestors there as well, because if families live close together, the children in the family often attended the same school. So that's an important piece of information to look at. And here's a tip when you look at those school records, guys. Check if you're fortunate enough to have your ancestors' original album, check who was leaving the little comments and notes in the margins and in the back pages. They were important to your ancestors. And if they were important to your ancestors, those individuals are going to be important to you as well in your research. School newspapers are another source of information. If you can find those, again, these are being digitized more and more. I'm starting to see these online at like the large genealogy databases like Ancestry, Find My Past, My Heritage, but also in local state archives are starting to digitize some of that. Local counties and local historical societies, genealogy groups, we're starting to see more of these crop up. Now, those school newspapers, just like a regular newspaper research, can have all kinds of information. It's really the sky's the limit on these things. It might be talking about an upcoming dance. It might be talking about the sports. It might be talking about projects or community things going on that affect the school. It might be naming teachers. So if your ancestors were educators, you might find them mentioned there as well. So again, school newspapers are worth seeking out and looking for your ancestors there. Annual school board reports can also be helpful to look at as well. So these are going to be at the county level records, and as you go to look for those, you're going to see things such as hiring of teachers. You're going to see who are the school board members. Less focused on students, though you can occasionally find a little bit of information if something big was going on about a student. But this is more about the running and reporting to the school board, and so it's more about the management level at that point. But again, if your ancestor was a teacher, again, females can be listed here. And I would encourage you to check out those school board records to see, or school board, those annual reports to see who might be mentioned there as well. And lastly, report cards, guys. Check with your family. Check in those, anything that might have been passed down. I discovered in a box of photographs that came to me. It had been saved for, well over 50 years. It was a box that sat in a barn, a Southern Virginia barn, for over 50 years. And when I got it and started going through it, I actually found report cards of my ancestors that were listed there. These can be really a fun thing to do if they exist in your family, because not only do you see your ancestor, you see kind of, were they good students or not good students? You can see that kind of information, but you can also see original signatures, because much like today, parents were required to sign those. And so you can see an original signature of a parent. That's an important piece of family history, to have that original signature. If you ever need it to compare it to other documents to make sure you have the same person, that signature is very helpful. There you have it, guys. School records. I would encourage you to take a look at those and see what's available in your area. Seek out those. They're quite interesting to look at. And if you want to read a little bit more about school records, feel free to click the link in the description and head over to a post that goes a little more in depth on school records over on my website. And before you go, guys, I would love for it if you don't mind giving me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, if you felt like this was helpful to you, or hit that subscribe button and you will be notified when new videos are posted here on the Are You My Cousin YouTube channel. Okay, guys, have a great day. Bye.